What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Guys, I've got Hot Toys Multiverse of Madness Wanda in my collection, finally, and I am excited to share my thoughts with you guys on this figure, but I also have some interesting takeaways here as well. So I'd love to give you guys my opinion. If you can, stick around. If you like the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
I give you Ben Thomas Showtime. Here we go.
Okay guys, we're back. I have been excited for this one to come to my collection. I actually really enjoyed Multiverse of Madness, and I've had my Doctor Strange standing by himself for far too long. And this beautiful art box brings me the actual figure here in the clamshell. Now this is a huge freaking box. In fact, it barely fit in my light box. So I'm going to give you guys better views here in just a second, but getting the clamshell off and kind of having that first peek in at the figure is definitely a rewarding feeling, especially after waiting this long. Now there's a couple things that I want to touch immediately, let's be honest here. And I'm going to go with the Darkhold first. I love 1/6 scale books. I think they're fantastic, especially the detail when they do them well. Now, there's not a lot of detail in terms of different pages in this book, but the artwork that they do give you is really cool. And in order to put it in your display and bring it to life, I think the writing in there, the textures on the book, the paint applications are pretty on point. Just the fact that it's a functioning book is kind of fun. Honestly, I think the only drawback really is that it feels kind of like hard plastic. Visually, it looks like it could almost be a leather bound or, you know, some kind of cloth material book, but yeah, in hand, it's very, very plasticky. Only downfall. Now the figure material on the suit is a beautiful feeling. It's got a very like soft, almost like suede-ish feeling to me, like that leathery material up to a certain extent as well. I think we've experienced this with a lot of other figures, but this one for some reason, just out of the box, feels like it might actually have some more flexibility. It's not rigid in the material. This piece is actually like a cold feeling cloth in the hand. It's a really nice feeling texture, so I feel like they did spare no expense on that aspect of it. Now, getting the plastic off is always a little fun. I was really excited to see what these fingers would look like up close, because it was a kind of a feature of Wanda in the film, you know, it actually physically having a manifestation on her character and body. I thought was interesting as she used that Darkhold book. Now, I can already tell this piece is going to be really annoying. That popped off the face so easily, and it is a really light, cheap feeling plastic material. So that's another subtle drawback right off the bat. Now I can also see that these holes definitely have the possibility of getting worked too much. If you're putting this in and out constantly, there's a good chance it's going to work that hole too large and not gonna stick. So be careful there. There's also kind of a trick to this hairpiece I've noticed. If you kind of slide it downwards and pop it in, it seems to work a little bit better and sits fairly flat to the head. The hairline, you can't really see it that much. Under the harsher lighting here, you can a little bit more, but at a distance you can't. I'm going to show you this figure, guys, under the white light box as well, just so you can kind of have both spectrums, both the black background and white background. The flexibility here in the neck is not good. There is almost no posability, and I'm noticing right off the bat she clearly doesn't have the rolling eye system. I forgot whether this one did or not before I got it in hand. So the fact that she can barely turn her head is going to be rough. And just to confirm, this is what she looks like on the inside. Oh, see, again, that's driving me freaking crazy already. It took me about 45 seconds to get that thing actually popped back in. But then it really does truly bring the sculpt to life. And in the photography, it doesn't feel like it looks as cheap of plastic as it feels in hand. I also don't like that cheap plastic collar around her neck. Again, that to me takes away from the outfit, and I would worry that over time, flexing the suit, you'll actually see separation between that plastic and the material. Let's actually look at the flexibility. Her back arch is wild. She can bend really, really well. Honestly, again, the material is very forgiving. You can stretch her legs out to here, which is pretty wild. Bending at the knees is no problem. I could see some creasing issues maybe over time. Not the end of the world. I think that's kind of par for the course at this point. Again, even the arm flexibility straight up and out to the front is very good. Bend at the elbow, turn at the elbow, all good there. No complaints really in the flexibility. I think the only articulation complaint that I have is truly in this neck piece. The fact that you can't tilt her head down is rough. Now, also worth noting that these pieces on the outfit do come off and are magnetically attached. There is a slot there, so just pay attention to what direction they're supposed to go on. But I want to talk about this candle base diorama, because to be honest, it was a huge selling feature for me on this figure. When I originally saw the blogger photos of Wanda hovering above the candles, looking really freaking ominous, like she did in the film, that powerful, scary version of herself reading the Darkhold, I was like, I gotta have that. But then getting it in hand, I gotta say, the plastic feels cheap. The fact that the candles don't light up, I didn't think was gonna be a deal breaker. It is in a lot of ways. I think it's really disappointing it doesn't light up at all. The candle pieces themselves are actually really sharp, so just be careful on that. But even the base is just this cardboard material. I knew it was going to be the case from the description when I pre-ordered it, but in hand, I feel more disappointed by it than I expected. I also really dislike the fact that the plastic insert that holds the flight pole also doesn't move. It's permanently affixed to the base and it's ugly. But somebody who doesn't like to display stands, I can't then use this diorama display without having that come out the back. And I don't like the look of that at all. Now, it's also not functioning very well. The pose that I'm about to show you guys here, I struggled with, because the waist clamp barely holds the figure up straight. I practiced with pitch, I practiced with angle, it still just had such a hard time and continued to tilt the figure forward. Now, maybe I just got a dud clamp, it's possible. But even still, you don't want one that's much tighter because it risks damaging the material of the outfit. Even on that clear acrylic base, when you hide it properly with the drape cape, in the white box here, you can't see the clear pole that's coming up behind her. In the black background, you could, but that's, I guess, gonna depend on what your display looks like. Was this worth the extra dollars I spent for the candlelight display though, to take a couple photos and then put her back to a relatively neutral pose on my display? I don't think so, not really. I'm not gonna end up posing her with this candles with Doctor Strange here. And I think that that's a little bit disappointing because it's kind of counterintuitive to what my original plan for the display is. But sometimes that is just the way she goes. I think the accessories that come with it are pretty standard. I don't love these plastic pieces. So for the sake of these photos today, guys, I didn't even show you what they looked like on. These are gonna stay in the box. I tend to break them, and that's not worth it to me at all. I really do think that the highlight accessory is the Darkhold book. I really do like that aspect of it. And I think it's awesome that those pages do open and have photos and all the good stuff inside. The likeness to Elizabeth Olsen, I do think is wonderful for this sculpt. The freckling on the skin, her little moles there, they capture the beauty behind her eyes. I love that they give her those different hair pieces, whether it's the flown back one or the up front. My personal preference, I think I like the one that's displayed up front, but I love the fact that you get both looks. I think she looks great with Doctor Strange in my display, even just standing beside each other like badasses. Very neutral pose, very museum-esque, but it still gives me that nostalgic punch in the chest that I was looking for with regards to this film. To rate this figure, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. In the win category, the first win has to be the likeness. I think she's absolutely beautiful. It looks like Elizabeth Olsen in hand, and I love that. Second thing would be the material and the posability of this figure. Massive, massive win for this release. Third thing that I love is the accessories. The Darkhold book, the swappable hair pieces, it all truly brings this figure to light. However, this figure is not infallible, and there's a couple things that do drive me a little nuts. First thing, no rolling eye system. She's got that neutral blank stare, and because she can't turn her head, you can't really give her some of those ominous looks that you should be able to achieve with this version of Wanda. Number two, I feel a little disappointed by that candle diorama base. I knew what I was getting into with my pre-order, but I didn't truly realize how disappointed I'd feel when it didn't light up, or the light card that it's on, or that clear acrylic base stand that's stuck in place. But I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you guys think of the figure? Do you guys have this one in hand, or are you waiting for it to arrive? What are your thoughts on the candle diorama display and some of the photos I was able to take with it? Did that scratch your itch, or has it made you worried about your purchase? I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say. But of course, guys, if you liked the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody.
I'll be back. back.